And before we get into the episode today, just a big thank you to all of our patrons and our producers here on Esoteric Atlanta. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible. If you would like to help support the work we do here on Esoteric Atlanta, there is a link to our Patreon account down in the description box below. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. Of course, my name is Bryce. Hold on one second as I get my computer did something funny when I signed on, and it's so funny. We were just blessing the space before we actually signed on. So I'm hoping that was just a God wink. But I'm so excited to have my friend Hillis back. It's been a while. It's been freaking crazy. But of course, we would come back during eclipse season. Right, of course it will come back together during eclipse season. And also, we're filming this on Tuesday. This is the day of Mars, which is also the day of Hanuman. I have my Hanuman on right here, which Hanuman is also the Archangel Michael of the realm of spiritual energy, the Ogun of the spiritual energy, and so it's very serendipitous that we happen to be here on a Tuesday filming and catching up. So before we get into it, you guys, if you are new here and you don't know who this beautiful man is beside me, please make sure to go and subscribe. I think I just made a word up. Subscribe to Hillis on YouTube. All of his links will be down. His TikTok links, his YouTube links, everything will be down. His website will be down in the description box below, along with his bio. So if you guys are interested in working more with Hillis, please, I would highly suggest going and exploring what Hillis has to offer. With that being said, how are you doing, Hillis?
You know, the last 2 weeks have really been transformative for me personally, because I started doing these rites, these meditations that are specific to OMNI RA breath. For anyone who's familiar with that, look it up. It's a very powerful Egyptian technique that Thoth created, and for his initiates to embody certain light, certain frequencies. I tell you that since doing this OMNI RA breath, and of course I modernized it a little bit, made it a little bit more flexible, life has been good.
It's so wild. I feel like this is another God wink. I did a whole workshop this past weekend over pranayama. That's what we call it in yoga, which is breath work. Prana is life force. Yama is extending life's capacity through the breath. And I don't think people understand how powerful the breath is, like to inhale and to exhale. Inhale is pranic, it's the rising sun. Exhale is aponic, it's the moon, and how they work together. Like if you think about, you go up and do a handstand, you're going up on an inhale. And that's just a very simple example of how powerful the breath is. But when you learn how to control that breath within your body, so many other things become open to you. And it's funny because in India, Hillis, I don't know if you know this, because you know how in the Western world we say, oh, God knows the number of days you have on this earth. God knows. Well, in India, they say it differently. They say God gives you so many breaths.
I love that. But you know what's fascinating about all of this? Now, every practitioner that I work with has a different opinion about breath work and so forth and so on, and somatics and all this other stuff. And what's fascinating about all of this is that when I first started learning my psychic mediumship, when I first started learning, all these different modalities, like, oh, breath work, pish posh, I don't need that. Whatever, it's not that important. I can tune in, I can connect, and it wasn't coming from an egoic place. It was just, it was just another tool that I felt that I didn't need in my toolbox.
Right.
But it wasn't until I found this specific right. And what's interesting about this is that if anyone knows about certain symbolisms and how symbols work and so forth and so on, and you and I talked about the when we did the mood series,
Yeah.
and the origination of where it came from and the original meaning of that. So you guys can take a look at that interview, The Symbols of Mu, part 1, or was it part 2, whatever. I think it was
I'll
part
put it
2.
all down in the description box. Yeah.
and, and so when I saw it, I'm like, okay, I understand the true meaning of this, because over time the meaning of the symbols get distorted. So when I started doing this breath and the instructions, I'm like, yeah, this is very powerful. And in the process of really understanding not just the breath, but then the consciousness that is attached to it, the consciousness that you allow to yourself to bring in. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. And I've been doing this every day, twice a day for about 2 weeks. And I tell you, the first week, I was sitting in this meditative space for 2 hours. I mean, literally 2 hours straight. Not an hour in the morning, not an hour in the evening, not multiple times. It was one sitting of 2 hours, just analyzing, clearing, connecting. It was amazing.
It's I know, and for those who don't, I mean, I get that because when I first started doing yoga, I was not interested in breath work either. It sounded boring to me. Just like chanting sounded boring to me, but now those are the two elements of the practice that I love the most because they are indeed some of the most powerful. And in India, we don't even start learning deep pranayama technique until we're in the second series because first they want your body to be physically ready to take on because it is a physically some of the breath work you learn is so physically intense on the body and on the mind. There's a lot of mental restraint as well that has to happen. And I tell my students all the time that, you know, I'll go and do an asana practice, a physical practice any day, but I get the most nervous about the intensity of the pranayama, of doing that pranayama, of breath retention, of really having to understand like how to hold the breath, how to elongate the breath. And it's so fascinating for those who might think, oh, this is boring. I mean, your left nostril and your right nostril have two different energies. Left is feminine, right is masculine. And at different times of the day, one's going to breathe more power. One side of your nostril is going to breathe more powerfully than the other side. And it's supposed to be that way. If the right side of your nostril is clogged, you put your hand in your armpit, your left armpit, because there's a diagonal energetic line between the two. It is, and that's why the Nadi shown that the alternate nostril breathing is so powerful to calm the nervous system too. And that's the breath is connected to the nervous system, right?
Yeah.
It's connected to the nervous system, and the nervous system is what really regulates our health anyway.
Yeah.
So it's breath is what weaves. So we have on planet Earth in third density, we are a combination of Prakriti and Purusha of matter, our bodies, matter, and then soul, which so we have the finite, the mortality of matter with the immortality of the soul that are weaving together in this dance. And the breath is the thread that threads the two together.
Right. Or in some Egyptian cultures, will say the ka and the ba.
Yeah. Same thing. We were just talking about that. It's the same thing, different.
It's the same thing.
Different words for different.
Exactly.
They're saying the same
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what? But what's more interesting in this is as I continue to explore and create in this way, and doing the work that I do as a Sirian-Lemurian energy practitioner, that the meridians are also very important in this particular breath. When you call in energy, certain energies that's not only assisting the nervous system, not only helping to clear out the meridian system, which is very important for me because I need that to channel energy.
Right.
And not only that, then the chakra system, and then it expands out to the auric system. So it's like all these layers and levels that you will now begin to understand. And I'll be honest with you, if people are younger than 40, I'm not being judgmental. I'm not saying it, so this is my disclaimer. I'm not being judgmental when I say this. But if you are younger than 40, you may not be ready for this type of work.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Because it's unless you are very disciplined, because the work that I do requires us an enormous amount of discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline not of the diet, discipline of sexual behavior, discipline of your practice, discipline of this. So it's like it requires a lot. And you just can't step into this willy-nilly and think you're going to just boom and just do it. No, there's this overarching energetic presence that is called in when you do. You know this. I mean, it's
I was about to say, I'm so glad you said this, Hillis. This is something that drives me fucking bananas in this modern world of spirituality on the internet, is that everybody wants to leapfrog to the end. They want to leapfrog to the end. It takes the initial. Let's talk a little bit about the initiate's path. The
yeah. Oh yeah.
initiate's path is a ring of fire. You have to go through the fire. You know, people are always like, I can't believe, Bryce, that you get up at 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, that's part of Brahma Muhurta. That's part of my discipline. Like, you think I enjoy getting up that early? No, I'm getting up that early to fight for what, to go through that ring of fire, and you know, people are, I've noticed too, like, especially in the yoga world, Hillis, is that people, you know, 99% of the yoga that you see in the United States is fake. Like the vinyasa flow stuff, that's not, I hate to break it to you guys, that's not yoga. If you're going to a class where the teacher is telling you to get comfortable and do whatever you want, that's not yoga. Why is that not yoga? Because when you are on a spiritual path, whatever lineage you're in, whatever the path it is that you're following, you have to change to fit the path. The path
Yeah.
does not change to fit
To
you.
fit you. Yeah. No, there's no flexibility in the path of the initiate,
No.
because when I started doing what I was doing, it was in a space that I fell into it, but I knew that I was called to do it. Because for people who have been following me, for people who know my story, I've been doing this since 2008. It started off as a very slow drip for me. I started off, with my gratitude blog and
Yeah.
expressing gratitude for that, and that opened up into me connected with someone who showed me, where I can go to hone my psychic abilities and learn how to properly utilize them and properly hone them for the purpose that they were meant to. Then, within the same year, I started journeying with plant medicine, and then after that, after clearing what needed to be cleared, I then can step into my path of Reiki, and then after that, I found the teacher that I have now is the Sirian-Lemurian energy. And since then, I've been able to create programs and things of this nature based off of the learnings of that. But when you step into the path of a facilitator, the path of a teacher, path of this, there's certain things you have to follow, especially when the energy is tied to ancient rites, ancient energy, because that's what's holding everything together. It's the ancient wisdom and knowledge, and people. So, and then just to give people an example of this, so in the Ankh-Nada breath work that I've been doing, there's certain phrases, certain things you have to say, right?
Yeah.
And so when you step into this, you go along, you connect to the process, you say the certain phrases to activate and initiate certain protocols and certain things, right? But in this practice, I tell you, by day 3, I was given permission to change what I was saying to fit me.
Yeah.
And to make it more potent and powerful. That was in alignment with me. So yeah, there's flexibility once you walk that path and you have been given permission, because you know that everything comes into alignment. You and your best. It's good when there's a lot of energy coming in right now. All of this energy coming in right now. And that's why my voice is fluctuating, because there's this energy of presence that wants to talk through me, has this expression. And so I say all that to say is that when we walk the way that we walk, when we do what we do, then it's just in that vein of having the authority to speak in that, to speak from that space with permission of the ancient guides.
It's the same in yoga because it comes from the Mahabharata, which is like 5,000 years old, which starts with the Bhagavad Gita. And, a lot of people think that yoga is about peace. It's not. The genesis of yoga was a war. The Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was fighting a war. And Krishna pops in, Krishna, who is the flute playing, like, avatar of Christ. And Arjuna's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to war. And Krishna's like, tough shit. Like, this is, you're a warrior. This is your
Yeah.
God. And so it's basically saying, a lot of times in spiritual practices, that ring of fire is very, very real. It's not rainbows and butterflies. It is purging. It is literally, Mariella Cruz, one of my colleagues and friends, she tells a story about when she first went to India to study with our teacher. She sat down with Sharat, and Sharat said, okay, how long are you here for? And she said, oh, I'm here for 2 weeks. And he said, oh, not enough time. Sorry, come back when. And she was like, but. He was like, no, not enough time. Next time, next life. And so she arranged it so she could actually come back. He wasn't going to change the beginning system to meet her needs. She was going to have to figure out a way. And I get that a lot with people. They try to give me excuses. And I'm like, maybe next life then, if that's your excuse, because
Yeah.
this is
I
a
mean,
path you have to follow. There's a trajectory here.
yeah, I mean, when you sit with a shaman, I mean, and shaman, teacher, whatever,
Yeah.
there's this protocol, and I remember, because when I was doing plant medicine, I was going through, certain shamans, and this one shaman in particular, we were in almost at the peak ceremony, and he looked directly at me, and I looked directly at him, and it was more than eye contact. It was like this energetic fusion of energy, and and I don't care what anyone says. This is my experience, and this is how I've been living my life since. In this space of when we made that fusion, that connection, it felt like that he brought the God up and out and through me in this expression in this human form, and I never will forget that. And since then we've been journeying together, and then maybe after a couple of ceremonies after that, I was his assistant in that space because he trusted me to help him open up these channels, these gateways to be of service to other people. So I've lived my life best as I could, according to that, which is why I am now residing as the Omni Resonance Architect. Because, the Omni is the all. It is in this space. It is this vein. It is this energy that we have it's been in this vein of energy that we have not allowed ourselves to believe that we are the all. Yeah. Because the story has been changed so much that we don't know what to believe. Why it's important to do the breath work, why it's important to connect, because then you get messages and information that only you can receive in energetic fashion, which is brilliant because people think, oh, all these books have been lost, all this information has been lost. Yes, the physical aspect of this information has been lost, but as an initiate of any practice, once you allow yourself to get to a certain point, you then can begin to receive what is meant to receive to take the next.
That's what we in yoga too. We have a saying. Actually, it's funny. It started this. The Americans are the ones that had to have this the quote changed. It started where we follow a system in traditional yoga called Padampada. P-A-R-M-P-A-R. Padampada. It's an unbroken chain of knowledge from guru to student guru. And I think people are a little bit confused in the West about what the word guru means. Guru is like a shaman. It's a shaman, basically. It's like a master teacher, right? It's a master teacher. Yeah?
Thank you for clarifying that, because people used to call me guru all the time and it just annoyed me.
It's master teacher. It doesn't mean they're not fallible. It just means that they are like the master, and they're shamanistic. They do have some like Patabi Joyce could like look at you and just know your astrological makeup, right?
Mm.
He would have like I practiced with his grandson, my boyfriend practiced with him, and he said he would be able to give you certain adjustments. Like Todd had a bad hip-ish injury, and Patabi Joyce would say, "Oh, fixing, fixing." When he would say that, that meant you were in trouble. Like yoga surgery was coming. It was going to be pretty painful. And Todd said that he would come into the Mysore room in the morning, and every day it was the same posture, Upavishta Konasana. And Guruji would climb on his back and like push and pull his body and push and pull his body. And okay, next day Todd would come and same thing. And then one day Todd said that the stars just must have been aligned because he got to Upavishta Konasana. Guruji climbed on Todd's back and he said, "Inhale, exhale, you go," and pushed his chest to the flat to the ground. And this big pop came out, and Todd said he bucked back, and Patabi Joyce fell off. It goes, "Oh, bad man," giggling. And Todd finished his practice, and after he was done, Guruji said, "Tomato, you come." You come, because he knew that Todd was going to wake up very sore the next day. And of course, the next day he wakes up, he's super sore. He walks into the Mysore room, and all Patabi Joyce had him do was a couple of sun salutations, take rest, and go home. Well, ever since that happened, that hip, this was when he was maybe like 23. He's
Mhm.
53 now. That hip's never been a problem ever since.
Wow.
The karma was fixed. So that's not something I can do as a teacher. That's something that he was a guru, he was a shaman, he could do that, and so it's there is a very, and with the parampara, with this transmission of knowledge from guru to student, there becomes this unbroken chain. But back to the saying, so before the Americans would come, Patabi Joyce used to say 70% practice, 30% theory.
Mm. Oh yeah.
Really only going to make sense if you're putting it to practice. Well, when the Americans got to India, all they wanted to do was sit around, smoke pot, drink coffee, and talk philosophy.
Right. Yeah.
Tavi Joyce had to change it to 99% practice, 1% theory.
Yeah, because I mean, it's when you're in this space of really putting things into practice, which is why, when you're a teacher and you create these programs, it's all based for me anyways, personal practice mixed with theory of what would work and what wouldn't work, was feasible. And so it's in this vein of like, okay, what matters the most? What is this? And so, yeah, I mean, it's all about really understanding what the initiate's path is. So it's really understanding, especially if you're in a space of creating something new and then combining this and putting that in this. So it's like really understanding how it all works and fits together.
Well, the body keeps the score. When you're looking for teachers yourself, you're looking at their body. The body is holding the physical element, or the physical elements of the mystical experience. And there, another example, we have what's called in the yoga world is called the yoga fever. And this
Oh yeah, you told me about that. I remember.
this trips people up all the time, because somehow people think that once they start like a spiritual journey that it's just going to be healing, just constant healing. But what they don't realize is that detox has to happen. Like Guruji used to say, new body is making, but he would leave out that, your old body's got to break first for the new body.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Got to detox. And so that emotional karma comes out in a very physical way. Another story, I've had my fair share of yoga fevers. So basically what happens is you'll be on a path, a spiritual lineage, and all of a sudden you're going to get really sick. Like it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it happens. And it's your body detoxing all of this karma. It happened. Todd has a really funny story. Another one, he had his first trip to India. He was like 22. He was a little bit, he had been sitting at home, like cocooning and smoking a bunch of pot and eating a lot of food. So he came to India. He was a little bit chubby, a little overweight. And Patabi Joyce was like really rough on him, like really hard on him, worked him, basically seeing if he could hack it too. Like, be able to hack this. And every day Todd would show up. He would show up. He tells me a story about one day in the middle of practice, he had to go to the bathroom and just hold the sink for a moment. And another senior student walked in, was like, "Hey, you okay?" And he was like, "Yeah, okay, I'm going back in now." And it's just very serious. People are throwing up in the bathroom. There's a lot that's going on in this room.
Yeah, I mean,
well, Todd all of a sudden woke up. It was coming out of both ends. He was so sick. He got up enough energy to walk himself down to an Ayurvedic hospital, not a medical hospital, but an Ayurvedic hospital, where they basically hooked him up to fluids and he slept. After 24 hours of being in the Ayurvedic hospital, they released him and he was walking back to his apartment. He said he felt a lot better. And Guruji was sitting outside with his wife. And Guruji stands up. He goes, this is a very small town in India. He goes, why you know today? Why you know today? Why didn't you come to class today? And as Todd gets closer, Guruji sees in his eyes, he goes, oh, complete revolution. Revolution, and calls Todd inside. He goes, did you take medicine? And Todd said, no, Guruji, just fluid. He goes, ah, correct. No medicine, no medicine taking, fluids. And so Todd said after that, he like dropped 20 pounds. His practice was so light. Everything started to move into place. And that is a very extreme example of a yoga feat. I'm sure you've had situations like that, Hillis.
Oh my goodness. I mean, people always talk about ascension symptoms and ascension flus and this and that. I can tell you that in the beginning of my work, I can say that my journey with plant medicine accelerated that.
Yeah.
But it was different anytime because I seldom get sick. And if I get sick, then something's wrong. It's like, okay, it's like really, whatever. This is not me. So, because for me to be this and to do this, I have to have certain dietary disciplines. Yes, I'm vegan. Yes, I'm pesca vegan. Sometimes I eat fish every blue moon, just for additional protein that my body may need, whatever this is. But, yes, I cave to having my sugar cravings, but, outside of that, but it's also understanding why am I craving certain things when I'm craving it. And it's about balance, bringing things in harmonic balance. Yeah, I know sugar, anything in excess, whether if it's, a ton of sugar or a ton of vegetables, anything that in excess is not good. And so you really have to understand the balance. And this is part of what we talked about before. It's about really understanding the needs of the body, understanding the path of the initiative, understanding the discipline of what we are to become what we want to be. Because you just can't, have a weekend or two of ayahuasca,
right,
and think that everything's all peachy. Heck no, I've done ayahuasca for 11 years. I mean, I've had my fair share of purging from both ends simultaneously. I had my share of doing Cambo medicine and actually passed out, had a blackout in a Cambo session and had a full body reset. I mean, there's stuff that I could tell you that people would probably like, what?
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart, is it? You have to be brave. You have to be
you have to be brave to do it. You really, because people ask me, why do you keep doing it if it hurts? I mean, because there's a process of clearing out the physical body, clearing out the energetic spaces that's unseen. And so when we have all of these things that we do, I mean, it's just part of the process to really get to know self. Because when we come in this world, we know who we are. We remember who we are, and then by the time we get to age 5, 6, 7, we forget.
Yeah,
we lose that connection, and so we build up all of this stuff from childhood, adolescent, adult life. We take on all this stuff that's not ours, but we don't know it's not ours. Yeah. So then, when you live a life, it's time to clear it out and reset. So that's part of what we do. Part of the initiatives, part of the teachers, part of the gurus, they help people to reset. And so when you walk the walk, it's like, oh yeah, this is what it is.
Yeah, and that's Todd actually just did an interview with another senior teacher in Ashtanga, and she made a good point. When you're looking for teachers, when you're looking for guides in this, the body doesn't lie, and you always want a teacher that has been through this as well, and you can always tell by their body. You can always tell by the clarity of their eyes, by how trim their, if they're able to hold their energy in their own body. And it's even we can talk even a little bit about the physical body in all this, because I think sometimes people in our in our world today, they confuse spirituality where they think that we're trying to disassociate from the body, but the body is an integral part of this journey here.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
your organs, your muscle, your tendons, everything, your fascia, your skin, your hair, everything that's manifested in what we call the Shakti, which is the creation of the soul, which is the body, is a template of what's actually going on within the Shiva, within the Purusha or the soul. It's the lessons of the refining of the soul.
Yeah.
So even if you look at like the spine, for example, like the spine is so important in almost every single. I know the Egyptians call it the Jed, right? The spine. We
The
call it
Jedi.
the Jedi. There we go. We call it in yoga. We call it the Sushumna. It's a nadi. It's a channel of energy that runs up the spine. So the spine, the physical spine, becomes so important. If we look at our core, and we think about our core as our stomach, but in yoga, the core is just the whole torso, the back included.
Yeah.
The spine is reaching down, is grounding down into Prakriti, into nature,
Yeah.
into the earth, but also reaching up into the quantum. So this is a literal symbol of the marriage of both spirit and matter. And so
Right.
if we have a weak back, which I've struggled with my back, like my back is weak, my lower back is weak, which to me it's like, okay, well that's where there's the most information to learn. And so I work so hard to make sure my muscles in my back are alive and functioning and strong to hold that spine up. Because up that spine is also all the wheels of the chakras. And then we have the
Yeah.
plugs of Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara Bandha in the throat that's plugging that energy up. And the stronger we make our perineum, so ladies, that would be like Kegels. Like the stronger you can literally make your crotch is pulling energy up your spine. So many people talk about the chakras, but if you don't have a strong bandha lock, energetic lock,
Yeah.
the energy is just going to dissipate and go outside of your body. And
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
I always laugh,
Exactly.
Hillis, because in India, it's not weird in India. I'm just going to make that very clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When they check Mula Bandha, they literally stick their hand right in your crotch to make sure it's active. But it's not weird there. Like for some reason,
Yeah.
it's totally normal. But in the United States,
Oh, so
I
so now I get it. So you're on TikTok like I am,
yeah.
and I've seen a couple of videos with the Indian Army, and the guys are stripped down to their underwear, and I think it's the sergeant or the captain, whoever, is going around grabbing the guy's balls.
They
And I'm
might be
like,
checking Mola Bunda.
exactly, that's what I'm thinking
Yeah.
too. Now that you said that, I'm like, because it makes sense. But I want to go back to what you said just for additional clarity. So yes, in Egyptian they call the spine the Jedi, but where it comes from, and you guys can go back to my channel to watch the series of move symbols where I talk, and I thought I had my necklace nearby, but there is the talk about the Jedi and where it comes from. So the Jedi is originally the four primary forces that was created from source directly. So this is a source created energy of four primary forces, and you can call them whatever you want. They can be elemental energies, they can be the cardinal directions, but it's four. Okay.
Yeah.
And in that they were instructed to bring order to the universe. And this led me down the path of understanding the first law. No one talked about this. No one has written about this in physical form. Okay. The first law is the law of order.
Yeah.
And no one talks about this. I'm like, how come no one's talking about this? So you're gonna see me posting and talking about the law of order more, because the law of order brings structure, and without the structure, nothing else can exist.
Yeah.
And in the space of going back to the Jedi is a representation of the four primary forces. You know, they call it and so if you look up Egyptian symbols, there's a lot of symbolism in Egyptian culture that represents the four primary forces. You know, the square, the wheel, the square wheel, I can't think of the proper name for it right now, but then also the spine. And Osiris really believed in this. And so in Osirian religion, this was one of the pillars, or Jedi, because Jedi is also interchangeable with pillars in Egyptian culture. It's that energy that we have to allow ourselves to connect with and resonate with.
Yeah. Oh, it's so important. That's beautiful because even like all these obelisks we see around the world, people think that's like a tallywagger. I'm like, no, that's a spine. They're using it as an antenna, just like the spine is an antenna, right?
Yeah,
And so we see this understanding of the spine in all these different cultures. It's even spoken about in the missing books of the Bible. And so the physical body is the manifestation, the Shakti of what the soul, because the soul came here to learn lessons, to refine itself, right? And
exactly.
we live in a duality, like we live in a planet of, in a realm of opposing forces. And when there's opposing forces, when there's a night, there's a day, where there's a man, there's a woman, where there is, a left, there's a right, where there's a north, there's a south, right? There's always opposites. And that's intentional because that, again, creates that opposing force. And with that opposing force comes friction. And friction is the heat needed in order to manifest wisdom and to find that. It's like I always use the metaphor of the match, right? Like the match has everything on it to light itself, but it cannot light itself unless it's struck against a matchbook. That's that.
Right, exactly. And this is one of the things that some of the modern day teachers are missing out on because, yeah, it's this duality. How do you get rid of this duality? You can't.
You can't, you have to be in the
You
dance.
have to have you in this reality, in the physical reality in which we live. There's always going to be duality because in the universe there was chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos was first. Understand that chaos came in because chaos is fast, it's quick, it's unmeasurable, it's untamed, and it's part of the creative process. If you ever see someone create an artwork, especially a painting, it's chaotic, it's untethered, it's untamed. But then once they get that out, then they bring in the order, to bring coherence to it, to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Because you have to chip away. So chaos, the job of chaos. The job of chaos is to assist in the elimination of what is not needed in a broad fashion. Order is to assist in narrowing the elimination more precisely, methodically. And so one is always in existence with the other. They don't fight, they don't compete. They say, you go do your thing. When you're done, let me know that I'm going to do my thing. And it's the partnership. And this is what everything is. Duality is not opposing. Duality is a partnership with the existence of energies.
And it's that's what gives us the wisdom. And people, you're not going to understand joy unless you understand suffering.
Exactly.
You're not going to understand, wisdom unless you understand ignorance, right? And so we have to exist. And, I just look at all these people who try to avoid this and they think they're being super spiritual, but they're just disassociating. And I'm like,
spiritual bypassing.
Spiritual bypassing. It's so funny. My boyfriend even said the other day, he was like, some people just get on the spiritual bypassing short bus, fill it up with fuel, and drive right off the cliff, and they call it spirituality. No, I mean, spirituality is sitting. It's not pomp and circumstance, right?
No.
It's sitting in your, I always laugh. The Mysore room, which is how we practice traditional yoga. It's what it's called. It's a Mysore class. And people are in there at 4 o'clock in the morning. They have their pants typically on inside out. Their sports bra doesn't match their pants. Their hair is a mess because it's real, right? It's real and it's raw and it's early and they're sweating profusely. And, and then you go into these like cutesy little vinyasa flow classes where everyone's got their matchy Lululemons and their hair's done perfectly and makeup on. And it's like this. And the teacher's saying, oh, just, relax. Well, no, well, guess what? In the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali said absolutely fuck all about relaxing. He said nothing about relaxing. And so, you have this bypassing going on and the real work happens when it's raw, when there's no pomp and circumstance, when it's you just
when you give, it's like when you give yourself permission to sit in the shadow.
Yeah.
Not to wallow in it, because there's a difference. Because when you wallow in, you are reliving the suffering, you're reliving the moment. Sitting in the shadow and being the observer of the shadow is different from wallowing and feeling it all over again, because you can share your story without being attached to your story.
Exactly.
Share your shadow without being attached to it. So once you allow yourself to be the observer of your shadow, of, well, understand why this happened the way that it did because of this experience. So let me go in and clear that experience because I understand what the purpose of that. And then let me go ahead and fine tune that and clear that out. And then let me go on to the next thing. So it's like, and that's how I work with clients, because it's like once I help them to understand what it is that they keep saying, what it is that they keep reliving, because the spirituality is attachment and detachment. It's like telling your story without the emotional baggage.
Right. It's observing, it's being the watcher. It's, like we do in Ashtanga, our practice is so potent. It's a lot of leg behind the head, a lot of deep back bending, which physically is hard. So there's the physical like trepidation of doing the work. But then what's happening, when we're following the Yoga Karanta, this old papyrus that tells us about the alchemy of these postures, it's opening up different vayus in the body where there's held information.
Oh yeah.
So when you're in, it's different for different people. Like some people are going to move through some postures with ease, and other people are going to struggle. It just depends on your karma. And so when you are like, what I love what you're saying, because like for me, like when I'm on my yoga mat and I'm sweating profusely and I'm at a posture that's really triggering me, like energy is coming up, frustration, anger. And it's just a yoga pose. That's all it is. I mean, if you really think about it, like why is this shape I'm making with my body causing this much drama in my head? And so you start to observe that. Okay, why? What is it about bending my back backwards that causes me to panic? Because usually it's not just the idea of going backwards. Usually there's something being released, a trigger that now you get the opportunity to explore and to investigate in order to release it. And I tell my students all the time, where you struggle, where it's the hardest part for you, that's actually where your strength lies.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's fascinating? I love seeing this when I do plant medicine journeys, and I do it myself sometimes, but when I'm in a room of like 10, 20 people and we're in the teepee, and sometimes when we have a moment where we get to leave the teepee, I see 3 people doing yoga poses. I'm like, yeah, that's the
Yeah,
good
they're
stuff.
moving stuff. Yeah, it's wild. It is so wild. That's why people's bodies change drastically when they start practicing yoga, because the body is only responding to what the mind and the action is telling it to respond to.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. People don't realize that.
And of course, the sponsor of our video today is Fusion Body Studio, your online fitness boutique. If you are enjoying the episode that we are doing today with Hillis, as you hear us talk about the initiate's path, and this is something that you want to experience for yourself, Fusion Body Studio is running a special. If you enter discount code HILLIS20, HILLIS 20 in all caps at checkout, you will get 20% off your first 6 months with us. At this point too, we are so excited because we are also incorporating other teachers on the platform. In fact, Todd Roderick just dropped 2 new videos onto Fusion Body Studio. A 20-minute express strength training video with a 10-minute core video. So if you're ready to get your butt in gear, both physically and spiritually, because the two are the same, then please join us over on Fusion Body Studio. Remember to use discount code HILLIS20 at checkout for 20% off your first 6 months with us.
yeah.
Well, maybe they do, or maybe on the unconscious level they do. I don't know.
It's so funny because now scientists are starting to say, oh, we realize that you actually can kind of alter your DNA. And we're like, no shit. The Yoga Sutras, the Vedic text said that 5,000 years ago, that you
Yeah,
can actually
exactly.
change your DNA. You can actually shift. And my teacher used to say that if you practice yoga in one life, you change the karmic trajectory of 7 generations after you and 7
Yeah.
generations behind you.
Yeah, so and the thing is, how do you think some of the Siddhis, I think I'm saying it right, Siddhi, the Siddhis, how
Cities.
do you think,
Cities.
oh, cities, so
Yeah.
cities. So
Yeah.
I was saying it right before. I don't know why, but honestly, I know it's cities, but the Siddhi
Yes.
it sounds more potent and powerful. So maybe I don't know, but how do you think they're able to use telepathy? How do you think they're able to have telekinesis? How do you think they're able to have pyrokinesis? How do you think they're able to levitate? How do you think they're able to teleport their body in the same room? I mean, how do you think they're able to do these things? I mean, it's through rigid practice and discipline. I mean, the people just want the end result. I'm like, well, to get there, you got to get
You
here
gotta go
first.
through the beginning. It's the last two. So if you guys get my one of my, I have many copies. This is the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. This is probably the most popular commentary by Sri Swami Satchidananda, but there's so many. The first two sutra, the first two padas, is what's studied the most because that's like the beginning. That's like the practical. This is what a posture is. This is the mind. This is all that kind of stuff. The last two padas is when it gets super psychedelic. And when it starts talking about things like levitation, the cities start to open up, where you start to be able, like in a very lesser form, you have a stronger intuition, biolocate, there's all these different things but yes, and they warn you in the sutras, the reason why it takes, a teacher will not study with the student the last two padas until the student has been practicing daily for 10 years, because they want the student to be humble enough that by
Yeah,
the time they start to study this deeper stuff, that they're not going to use it to hurt anybody. They're not going to use it
yeah, because it's
for
very serious. Yeah,
very serious.
I mean, not only could it you potentially harm someone, you could potentially harm yourself if not
Yeah.
done properly. And that's the thing, especially when you move into spaces like teleportation across the room. I mean, come on. Levit and the thing is, people always, and I talked about this before in the movie series, how do you think Jesus did what he did? People say, oh, he walked on water.
He
No,
levitated.
he levitated over water. He used the Earth's magnetic forces to do this. I
That's
mean,
what
it's not
levitation is.
right. It's not magic, people.
No, it's not. It's in these books. How do you think he made? I'm going to use the actual. It wasn't fish and bread. It was grapes and bread when he was on Mount where he
Yeah, 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 yeah.
died. How do you think he did that? That's spoken about. That's in here about making things multiply.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, Jesus was ultimately Siddhi slash shaman slash. I mean, which is why I'm in this space where I'm kind of accelerating my path because I wish I had the resources to really dedicate myself to learn all of this because I mean this was his purpose. His purpose was to be the example of what the body could do. And all this stuff that we hear about levitation and all this stuff is underground. I know a teacher who teaches this, and actually I want to get back to my studies. But the thing is, it's like all this stuff is real, and that's the
Very
beauty
real.
of it. It's like, can you imagine all this and the things that I've done in a lucid dreaming state? I know is real.
Yeah, it's very real. And it also takes discipline within the body. That's bunda work as well, to be able to pull the energy up, to be able to, take it up. That's that physical pulling in of energy. And but people want the magic trip. They want the abracadabra without actually doing the shedding first. And that's the problem
Right.
we have in the Hathor's book by Tom Kenyon. I don't know if I have it here, if it's still up here, but the Hathors from India, or excuse me, Egypt, talk about, I say this a lot, their story about when they were here on Earth. And they were running these mystery schools in Egypt. And they tell this story about how they had these three schools, right? They had a beginner, intermediate, and advanced school.
Yes.
Start in the beginner, and you had to work through to get to the final school, which was the advanced school. Well, this guy kept coming to the door of the advanced school wanting to be let in. And the Hathors kept turning him away, saying, you have to go through the first two schools first. We can't let you. Oh, but I know it. I can do it. I'm special. I can cut. And they'd say, no, you have to go. And the Hathors basically said, this guy spent his whole life trying to leapfrog to the end that he never even began. So stop trying to leapfrog to the end and start at the beginning. It doesn't
I
matter.
mean, it's like reading a book. You wouldn't start a book at the end.
Right. Character development, right? Right.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give. I mean, just like a TV show. I mean, if it's a TV show, I mean, that you've never seen, you want to see the very first episode. It's like everything has a path. Everything has a series. Everything has a purpose. And so, yeah, granted now, and mind you, I when I was started taking my telekinesis classes, we had to build the foundation. And for someone like me, I had the foundation of knowing about the chakras. I had the foundation because I'm a psychic medium. I had the foundation because I am all these things. But I had to follow the process. I started from the beginning. I have to learn how he wants this done. So that way, when I get to the space of doing telekinesis, pyrokinesis, and eventually levitation, there's the safety bars in place, and my ego has been dissolved because most people, because one of the things that this guy said, he said, when you practice levitation, when you get to the space of levitation, when you practice it for yourself, make sure that you are by yourself, or if you have someone with you, record, make sure someone that you trust, because this other individual can disrupt your field.
Yeah.
So it's all about, coherence and having a strong physical and energetic body.
We get the same over at Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta, our shala. We'll have people come in who have been doing like vinyasa flow for 20 years. They've done teacher trainings, and they refuse. They come in, they want us to start them on like the intermediate series. And we're like, no, you have to start at the beginning. It doesn't matter how much vinyasa flow experience you've had. Oh, well, I've taken teacher trainings, and we're like, congratulations, you got scammed. Their teacher trainings are a scam, right? Like, you have to start at the beginning. But it's so funny. We have a lot of students that were part of the Iyengar lineage before changing to the Ashtanga lineage, and because they were part of a traditional lineage, they all come in and start at the beginning. They know they have to start at the beginning with. So it's interesting the humility that comes with like traditional spirituality that people hold and they understand. Whereas when the people who have just tried to leapfrog and bypass their way through spirituality, they maintain that false sense of illusion of their grandeur. And it's like you have to be able, because there's a difference between being egoic and being confident. Confidence comes with humility. Confidence comes with you not thinking you're better than someone, but knowing you know more. Right? But there's
exactly. It's like what I call the quiet confidence, or the silent ones. That's a quiet one. Be careful.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and it's like a good teacher when they walk into a room. Like when I have students walk into my classroom, I know that my job is to be their teacher, and is to help them with their blind spots and to push them where they might want to crumble and to support them. As you said earlier, I am the conduit of the practice. That's all I am. My teacher was the conduit for the practice for me. I am the conduit. I have to be able to stand in that, but I'm not better than them as a person.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I could teach all day. I can talk all day. But at the same time, I know that you are my equal. I'm guiding you through this process. I'm letting you do what you have to do for you. I'm observing you, observing yourself in this moment.
Yes. I'm the lifeguard in this situation, making sure you're not gonna, especially in Ashtanga, we have to pull people off the ledge all the time, and so that is when I wanted to ask you that, Hillis, because we've had a lot come up in the Ashtanga world. We've had this, my teacher passed away in November of 2024, unexpectedly. And there's been this it's crazy because this is why we've had to put off a lot of filming, because stuff has been going on, because these group of Americans and some Europeans and some Canadians flew in and tried to take over the
you told me
just basically a cult. Like, what they're doing is they're trying to form a cult. And that's not what this is. This is not the Joyces. The family were never culty, never. It was just a school. And so we've been dealing with that. And then all of a sudden, as of a couple days ago, over on Instagram, an Instagram page popped up, basically talking about the guy who broke my sacrum, another authorized teacher, which I've mentioned on my channel before, which jokes on him. When he broke my sacred, I took that and I basically just reworked the energy, and that's where I actually grew stronger. He tried to take me out basically. But anyway, this guy that broke my sacrum, there's also been a lot of allegations of SA, which I've seen it. Like I definitely believe these allegations, and I mean, there's so many allegations from women all over the world. Like there're just hundreds of them. So it's, where there's smoke, there's fire. And for years, people have been trying to speak up about this teacher. But he'll do things to silence people, like threaten lawsuits. Like, there's just so much that goes into behind it. And in fact, I showed this on Instagram yesterday. I pulled this out. This is my file on this guy of all the illegal shit he's done. This is 10 years worth of information I have, because it breaks my heart that there's somebody using this practice that's so potent and it's supposed to be so good that he's now using it to manipulate people. And so this Instagram page popped up where it's an anonymous person, and it's really, they're going hard. Basically, like, your karma's up. Like, we're going to expose you for what you've been doing to people. So this brings a good question, Hillis. For people who are new to the practice, any lineage, and it's kind of a gray area in a lot of ways, because you have to have a teacher that's going to be tough on you and is going to hold your feet to the fire. They're not going to submit to your ego. They're not going to submit to your weak spots. They're going to actually help you work through. But they also are not going to abuse you at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
How, as far as like SA is concerned, like my thing about that is, like, we are not supposed to date our students. Like, we do not date our students. In fact, when I first met Todd and we started dating, I immediately had to stop practicing at AYA. Like, there's an ethical line there, because it's a different relationship. When you are intimately involved with somebody in a romantic setting, they cannot be your teacher, because the energies are too confused at that point. There has to be
tangle the energies.
Yes, there has to be, and he knows that. Like, times that I would practice in the Mysore room at AYA, he would never adjust me. He did, and one time I asked him about a posture, and he goes, "I don't know, I'm not your teacher." Like, so very, very hard boundaries, right?
Exactly.
So for people with like SA stuff, like for women, like, you should never be like alone with your teacher that's not in a classroom setting, right?
Well, the thing is, I can say for me personally, it's different, because I seldom, when I am working with someone in person, there's always, do I have permission? Asking for permission, and I seldom have to put my hands on somebody. In some cases where, I am assisting someone with deep trauma, including SA, where a person has experienced SA in their life, then I do have to ask for permission to put my hands on them, because that's the only way for me to like really energetically assist in that space. But there shouldn't be any form of that, and I could understand.
In Ashtanga, we have to put our hands on people because we're.
I understand. I understand in your practice that you do have to put hands on somebody, and
you can tell. Like, I can tell.
Well, I got a funny story to share with you. Now, mind you, gay guy, black, whatever. So I don't come across this very often, and I'm just putting it out there. Someone asked me, "Could you heal me if we have sex?" And I'm like, no,
guys, no.
That is like
that's a good, because I can see nefarious teachers saying stuff like that. We've seen that with like Yogi Bhajan. We've seen that with the what was it, Children of Men. The thing is,
never. It's like, why would you even ask me something like that? My job is to assist you to clear what needs to, shame, pain, trauma, guilt, whatever. But the physical act to assist you, because and I'm just going to put it out there, if you have, excuse my French, but if you have fucked up energy, I ain't doing nothing with nobody.
No, thank you for saying that. Let's explain that. I don't like to sound like a prude, but when you are intimate with another human being, you are sharing karma. You are
Yeah.
tangling your karma. And so
Yeah.
super, like, that's why every single spiritual, like truly spiritual person I know is anti polyamory. Is that what it's called? They
Polyamorous.
will not do that, because when you are doing that, you want a shit show in your hands with I mean, you're asking for a shit show. When you're sharing energy with so many different people and your own partner is sharing energy with different people, holy shit. If you want to be on a spiritual path and you have a partner, you should be 100% monogamous. And I think that is where monogamy actually came. People think it as like marriage monogamy. I think it's because our ancestors understood that. Like, if
Yeah, it's about understanding the energies and how we connect with them. And
right.
so when we, and just so people have a depth of understanding, people always talk about the law of attraction, this, that, law of vibration. Everything is magnetic. Everything
Yeah.
has a vibratory frequency. And so if someone approaches anyone in that context, then there's something in your energetic field that is allowing that to come into play. And I'll be honest, there was probably something in my energetic field at the time to think that someone would be okay asking me that.
Oh, I would die, Hillis, if someone asked me that. I'd be like, your teacher should never see you naked. Like, first of all, like, that should never happen. But yeah, I mean, think about it, like, so Todd and I, like, spoiler alert, like, we've been intimate because we're in a monogamous relationship. So with
Right.
that being said,
Ooh,
shocker, right? We don't have any children to show for it, but he has definitely seen me naked. That's happened many, many, many times. It's been years now. So he can't be my teacher. He can't.
Right.
My energy is too intertwined with his, and so he's not even going to see me clearly on the yoga mat like he's going to see another student clearly, because there's a different level of involvement.
Right, exactly. And this is why it's important to, and I have students too, and it's just in the space of really understanding, my purpose here is to help you get clarity about who you are in your life.
Yes.
And so when you're when you're practicing yoga, of course you got to put your hands on somebody to do the proper adjustments and make sure that they're in the right positions. So I get that. And so some people may have a fantasy, or some people may get the wrong impression, or whatever it is.
They develop crushes. Yeah, that's happened to people.
Exactly.
It's happened to Todd, where people start to lionize you. Because, especially in my field of work, because if you're authorized like we are, you obviously, I mean, I don't have to demonstrate my practice for the student to know I have a strong practice. I wouldn't be authorized if I didn't. I do advanced practice. I do an advanced form of practice. Like, that's just common knowledge. And so you're in the Mysore room and you're moving people's bodies and you're flipping people through forward and back handsprings. You're moving people's And so there comes this like edge to it where people see Mysore teachers. They know we go to India all the time, all that kind of stuff. They see us as, I guess there's almost like this cool factor. A lot of the teachers are covered in tattoos. Todd is covered in tattoos. I only have a couple of them. So there's just like cool factor that some Mysore teachers, this air about them that some Mysore teachers have. And it's just going to happen. I'm sure it happens in your lineage too. I'm sure it happens in that, where people start to lionize the person that's helping them. Well, if the teacher is irresponsible, they're going to manipulate that, because that's a vulnerability coming from you, where you're needing.
Yeah.
But
it's a balance.
Yeah, my responsibility is to say no. I have to hold that boundary as a teacher. Todd is really good about that. I can't tell you how many women have had like massive crushes on him.
I can only imagine.
It makes me giggle, like it makes me laugh, but he is really good about like shutting that down. He's really good about holding that. Absolutely not. You are my student. That is it. And so for me as a woman, though, it has happened. There's at one point I was getting like all these men into one of my classes, and I was like, this is great. Like, all these men are like invested in like helping themselves. And someone was like, Bryce, it's because you're the only female Mysore teacher in the state of Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I was like, no. I was like, absolutely not. I was like, I'm here.
That's hilarious. No,
it does happen.
But I will say, for me, what I do, being a psychic and everything, I will say that over a period of time, I've had clients that I have for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And, you naturally develop a friendship. You naturally develop your stuff. And so there's these moments, oh, yeah, want to go have lunch? And then at the moment, we're friends, we can talk, but there's still boundaries that won't cross because, you're a friend, but also you're also still a client too.
Yeah.
So it's just really understanding what's acceptable in your practice, what's acceptable for you to honor your work that's being done.
I'm glad you brought that up because the relationship does shift over time. And
Yeah,
for a beginner student, it's going to be, as a student becomes more advanced and they have more autonomy over their own body, the relationship is going to change in the Mysore room between this. Like I have a student who has been practicing for freaking years, like years. And every time he comes into my class, like I give him the flexibility, no pun intended, to kind of like do what he needs to do because he knows his body. He's been doing
right.
this for years. He's been to India. And so I'm going to allow him a little bit more
Leeway.
than I am a beginner student because I know he knows his blind spots. And that is true. For him, I probably would go and grab a copy with him, just the two of us, because the relationship is different. He's been my student for a very long time. We can compare notes. There's more of a colleague, a peer. It's more of a peer
Yeah,
relationship at
yeah,
that point. But yeah, you're right. Like a beginner student, I'm not gonna like take a beginner student out to lunch alone or anything like that. There could be a time where the group that you're
yeah. Oh, yeah, like a
all
group.
go
Yeah,
out. Yeah,
definitely.
that's fine. That's totally fine because it's still, but yeah, it's just so for people looking at doing something like this, you have to understand these ethics in your own head as the student, that there are boundaries that the provider is not to cross. And
Exactly.
and if something feels wrong, it probably is. Be careful with love bombing. Be careful with all sorts of manipulation. No, I
Yeah.
promise you, healers and teachers are just as fucked up as you are. We just learn how to work on it in a different way.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I mean,
we're just a little bit more familiar with our shit.
yeah, I mean, we have to be. I
Yeah,
mean, we sit in these spaces all the time. And what was interesting about all of this is the fact that, there's, this space of, you doing your yoga, me doing energy work, and there's this practice, there's this lineage, that lineage, there's all this stuff, right? But ultimately, it's all one anyway. I
yeah,
mean, it's just different different languages for the same thing. And so, part of, what my purpose is now is to help people understand the oneness that truly exists, no matter what word or what language is in. It's all the same thing.
yeah. Absolutely. All the trees in the forest are different, but they're all reaching for the same light.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
mean,
So Hillis, with your new program, I know you're combining a bunch of different paths together to form one initiation. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
so as I am rebranding myself as an Omni Resonance Architect, I have this vision of creating what is now officially called. I had a different name before, and this is the first time that I'm announcing this. Is the Omni Order Living Embodied Right. And so this is a program, and I'm actually going to be doing a pilot program probably the next month just to test it out. But the purpose of this is to really begin to embody the shamanistic rites of indigenous cultures, the Sedais, the Jedis, all these different lineages, because they all spoke the same language at different times.
Yeah.
And so it's just really understanding these different rites and how it really you can begin to embody that, which is why it's called a living embodied right. Because once you step into this, it's an initiation to begin to live this. And yeah, I mean, people think, it's going to be something strict or this, or yeah, there will be times you have to have, higher disciplines, but like anything else, it's life.
Yeah.
You live it in flexibility. You incorporate it, you integrate it, which is why it's embodied, because you begin to live it in a certain way. And with all of that, I mean, there's so many things that people don't understand that's hidden. And in my meditation practices, in my work that I do, there's this information that I received to, well, this needs this and this needs this and incorporate that and this. And so it's just all these facets because we are now really moving into multifaceted, multidimensional space.
Yeah.
And now it's time to begin to live that.
Right. Absolutely. We call it, the Sanskrit word for it is sadhana. It's your sadhana. It's your discipline.
Yeah.
It's a sadhana. And that if you think about like even in the Bible, the disciple comes from discipline, which is a sadhana. They were in a sadhana. And so you
Yeah.
have to, it's not just like an after school activity. It becomes your life.
Yeah.
You know, my practice, I mean, people on YouTube know me as the person who does research into dead people and tells their secrets. But that is actually just my hobby. That's my after school
Yeah.
activity. My
Yeah.
life is my practice. My life is teaching this, is helping people, you know. And so in Hillis, I know we really want to get you on Fusion Body Studio on our online platform, offering workshops and stuff. And
Yeah, so I want to come on and do some live stuff because people, you aren't the first one who's like, why don't you record some courses and put them up? I'm like, I want to, but the work that I do, because actually I'm going to be, so anyone who's in the Florida area, I'm going to be at a live event October 4th in Delray, and I'm going to be back in Fort Lauderdale the weekend before Thanksgiving teaching my signature class, which is Vibrate to Love. And I've been teaching this for some years now in New York, down here in Florida. And the reason why I prefer to do it live is it's different every time because there's always a different group, there's always a different set of people, and they always ask for different things. And so this is not just a standard course or a standard class that I do. I customize it to fit the participants, meaning that the beginning and the end is always the same. I start with the same meditation mantras and with a group healing session. And yes, there's an agenda, but the middle in this agenda is to cater to those who show up.
yeah.
And that's what I feel is important to me. It's like I'm not just going to do a cookie cutter thing, throw it up and say, "Here you go, watch this."
Yeah.
That's not, to me, that doesn't, to me personally, it doesn't have the same level of potency or integrity.
Yeah. Well, will you send me that information where you're going to be in Florida?
Yes, it's all this. It's so it's in the link in my bio. There's my link of many links. Where I'm going to be, when, why, how. I'm also going to be doing a seminar. Actually, I'm going to be doing 2 summits this month. One with I just go on my link. I forget what one this is. September 20th. No, the end of September is one of them. Then another one is going to be doing with Gnostic TV. I'm going to be doing one with them. Then I'm going to be doing one with Portal to Ascension in December. Then I'm just going to be busy for the next few months, people. So just click on the link in my bio, stay updated. And if you really want to stay up to date, click on the Substack link in my link of links so that way you get to see all my new posts, new videos, and different announcements.
Yeah, that will all be down in the description box, you guys. So I'm excited to hear how this goes because, and the initiate's path, it ain't easy. If you're looking for easy, you're not looking for spirituality.
Yeah. No, but what I will say though, and I'm announcing this on your show, first place to announce this, I am in the process of finalizing my new write-up series. And it's about understanding that you are God.
Yeah.
And I'm excited that this is almost done. So definitely follow me on Substack. You guys don't want to miss this amazing, I think it's 5-6 part series.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
is that going to be on your channel?
No. So this is just the write-up. So this is going to be on my Substack.
Okay. Send me your Substack too. That's a good point, guys. I just joined Substack myself. I forget about it sometimes, but it is I've tried to put every video up because it does get emailed out to people and we deal with a lot of controversy here on the YouTube the powers that be, so they don't like us talking about this stuff, Hillis. They don't want people free. So they allow
Yeah.
fake spirituality to flourish like wildfires, but when we try to tell the truth about spirituality, they put us in a corner. So if you go
Yeah.
over to both Hillis's Substack and my Substack and just subscribe, that's a great way to keep in touch with us, and so you don't miss anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, and you have a discount code, Hillis, for Fusion Body Studio. Do you remember it? Or I can get it from Paula if not.
I don't. I think it's my name. I think it's
Probably your
my
name. It'll be in the description box, guys. It'll be in the description box. So if you use Hillis, the discount in his name, the discount in the description box below, you get 20% off your first 6 months with us over at Fusion Body Studio. And that is already a cheap price. That really discounts you if you really want to get started on any type of lineage based. And I will say, when you're doing any type of channeling work too, the body's got to be clear. The body's got to be a vessel, right? It's a conduit.
Yeah.
Are channeling, doing any type of channeling work, Hillis, and you pick up all these other energies, you need a way to dispel those energies once you're done as well. To get
Yeah, because I mean, anytime when I work with clients, I mean, and the thing is, I work at a soul level, meaning I'm not fully embodying it. So yeah, there I have to have my time after. It's just like, okay, clear this out. This isn't mine. I'm done.
Yeah, flush it out. We have to do that after we teach too, like flush everybody's
Yeah.
energy, because you can't help but pick up what people are going through, pick up what they're putting down, but then you have to realize what's yours and what's not yours, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so that exercise helps with that too. Exercise helps to flush that. So, all right. Well, is there anything else, Hill? He's a wanted man.
So no, this is a beautiful experience. I just want to honor those who watch and follow, and just allow yourself the time, the moment to really connect to what is yours, and allow yourself to really feel that energy, own that energy, connect to the true essence that is you, and find someone who's going to be of service to you, whether if it's Bryce, whether if it's me, someone who you feel you can trust in your process of self-evolution.
Don't find a teacher you're attracted to either.
Yeah, find the ugly ones.
Find an ugly one that you're not attracted to. Actually, Hillis, for women, well, I don't know. You had somebody ask you that. I'm assuming it was a woman having a game.
No, it was a guy.
Oh, okay. All right, I was going to say, if it was a woman, she'd be real confused. But if it was for women, I mean, I feel like being with a male, because sometimes women do need, I know all my teachers are men. I feel like I work better with a male teacher. But it's helpful when they are maybe gay, because that does put a boundary up between you and the student, that's not something that's not the core of that relationship, right? And so,
yeah, and mostly in about a good portion of my clients are women anyway, and the portion of that portion has experienced SA.
Yeah, a lot of women have.
I help them through that. And I never chose that path to be of service to people who've experienced SA. They just showed up.
I think, you know what I think it is, Hillis, if I can be bold and speak as someone who has also had that happen to me, I think when that happens to you as a woman from a man, you need a man to help you heal that, because that's the same energy, the same masculine energy, but you have to feel safe.
Right. And I don't disclose to them about my sexuality at all. They just find me based on my energy. So I'm like, okay.
So I think there's that softness to you, but there's also masculine there that's going to make the woman feel safe with you.
Yeah. Tough love.
Yeah. But there's still, because you can have tough love and still be safe, right? Like, I feel like my students know they're safe with me, and I'm tough on them. But then we'll crack a joke, we'll dissipate that energy. So that's really important. So for women out there that have had a lot of SA in the past, be aware of that, and find an energy that can help you heal that. If it is Hillis, sometimes women feel better with other women. I often say, I think you do actually need a masculine energy to help you heal, because it was a masculine energy that hurt you. And so, someone like Hillis might be the best option, because you can be safe with him.
Yeah, do you mind if I share this story really quick? I usually, And so, in the experience that I had with the client who experienced SA, I always get emotional every time I tell the story. Through the experience, we traveled back to the time when she was choosing her experiences, choosing the people that were going to help her to remember, et cetera, et cetera. People were getting their assignments at the round table. And she said, you're going to be my mother, you're going to be my father, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, blah, 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 you know, picking everybody's roles. And then she's pointing to this one soul, it's like, you're going to be the person to abuse me. And the soul looked at her like, I can't do that. I can't hurt you because I love you. And they said, you must, in order for me to remember who I am. I say, no, I can't. But if this is something that you are asking me to do, I will do this in love for you, to help you remember who you are. And so that touched me in such a way to understand that regardless of how hurt the trauma is, once we uncover the truth of what it is, which is what I do, I help people uncover the truth, that everything ends and begins in love.
Yeah. Yeah. That's powerful. Yeah. That's powerful. I think that's a great story to end it on, so people can remember that everything begins and ends with love. All his links are in the description box below, along with his discount code to Fusion Body Studio, guys. Thank you so much, Hillis. I'm going to ask our audience, if you have any questions for Hillis about his new program, ask them down in the comment section below, and then maybe we can address them on a follow-up show or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, all right. Bye, everybody.